Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS and Ascension. And this time, we're going to have a bit more of a role-playing oriented episode, as the events in our story are moving ever quicker. We've seen the cutscene with Balthazar trying to kill or capture Melisande, we've had Abazagol tell us that we've been used and misled, and then the spirit of Jaheira dispelled any confusion we might have had about the plans of the Five. And once we take this portal outside, we're going to have another conversation with the good old Elminster, although this time with a new voice actor involved. But before all that, let's just take one last look on the aftermath of our battle against Abazagol. I just love how dragons look in Baldur's Gate, whether they are alive or dead. And we also have a level up to do on Sarvok, so let's just take care of that. And I think this time we're just going to pick up an additional use of hardiness for him, and that is going to be our decision. And before we actually step through this portal, which is going to bring us outside, I would like to point a little bit of your attention to the pickpocketing skill of Kirnai, who by now, of course, managed to level it up to such a high amount that she is going to be able to reliably steal from basically anyone in the game with any additional boosts required. And that is going to matter in just a moment, and for that reason we are just going to empty a little bit more of her inventory, and also give her this one oil of speed that she's going to use now. Alright, and now once we are outside, I would like to pause the game if possible immediately. Alright, I didn't manage to do it. And we're just going to move Anomen out of the way so that Kirnai can move a little bit closer. Alright, and now before the actual conversation with Elminster triggers, one last time we're going to be able to take some of his possessions. And I'm only interested in one of them. Alright, and that's everything. The only thing we really care about is this Cloak of Protection +2, which of course with the help of Sespinar we are going to be able to upgrade to the improved version of it, which is going to allow us to have another source of a max level improved haste available. So that is going to be very nice. We also had this Amulet of Protection +1, this Ring of Protection +2 we actually are going to be able to use. These Bracers of Defense we're just going to put away, and we also have some potions. Alright, now we can just sort everything as we had it before, and now we can go with the conversation. Thank you, Elminster.
Greetings, old friend. Fancy meeting you here.
Elminster.
Oh, so you do know who I am now. I must admit, you've changed more than a little since the last time we met, before you were straddling the world with your power, so to speak.
Well, it's been a while, and Elminster, you are right. If we respond to him in a more aggressive manner, he is going to mention that he is not actually willing to take us on in a fight, which is of course a sentiment that we have encountered a couple of times in Throne of Bhaal, indicating of course that we have grown in power immensely, but we're just going to respond with this. Why are you here now? You've been watching my progress, I suppose.
Watching your progress? Well, not as much as I likely should have. I wish I had known long ago that Gorion would be right. I would have done more than just warn you about your destiny, I think. Have you any idea of the havoc the Bhaal spawn have caused up and down the coast? The havoc you've caused personally? No, I don't suppose you have. Not that it's entirely your fault. We Harpers have been working tirelessly for weeks now to prevent the panic from reaching a boiling point. Not a simple task. As I understand it, though, your quest is nearly at an end, correct?
Have you any idea? And yeah, I love that stance. Senashira only had to fight for her life throughout the whole saga, facing horrors on a daily basis, had her soul ripped apart and taken away from her, had to go literally through hell to reclaim it, all the while struggling against the evil Bhaal's essence in her veins, and now fighting the most powerful Bhaal spawn the world has ever known. But it's all about those poor Harpers, man, working so hard to prevent the public from panicking. Oh, Elminster, if only I had known earlier, I would have concluded my insignificant business here so that the Harpers could get a little rest. But, yeah, of course we think that our quest is at an end. Why? What do you know about it?
I have to leave again soon, so I can't help you much. But I can help you a little, whether you like it or not. It's important that this all ends soon. But that doesn't mean I won't lift a finger over it.
So how can you help me then? Balthazar is known to me. His monastery is sealed up tight with powerful magic. Where he gets it from, I do not know. But you're going to have to get inside, obviously, or he'll ambush you eventually. I know it may not be pleasant to contemplate, but the rogue Saemon Havarian holds the key to entering the monastery. He is once again with the Kethran smugglers at the moment. As I understand it, Havarian has been into the monastery several times up until now. He may be able to help you once again if you're willing to look for his aid.
There may be another way in, but you'll have to find it on your own. Now, I must go. From this point on, attaining your destiny is completely your own affair. I wish you well.
Well, it always has been our own affair. You haven't helped that much, Elminster. Don't overestimate your meddling. But yeah, I think before we go back to Kethran, which of course is our next destination, we are going to go to our pocket plane, because we of course have that challenge to do, the newly unlocked challenge, and we also have some crafting to do with Sespinar. And you might have noticed in Senashira's inventory that I have already prepared some items for that purpose. We're just going to drop this and that. And yeah, let's talk to Sespinar first.
Sespinar gladly serve the Great One. Ooh! Ah, the flail of many heads it is. Ouch! Ooh, wrong head.
So of course we have obtained the lightning head of the flail of ages. Real shocker, that one. But here I just wanted to elaborate on why I'm not going to upgrade the flail of ages, and that is going to be our exception, of course, in our plan to craft and upgrade everything. And that is because even though the upgrade to the flail of ages is a massive one, it becomes a +5 enchanted weapon and deals 2 damage of each element, so 10 additional damage in total. But unfortunately, it also gains free action, which would of course block any haste or improved haste on Animan. It would even block his Boots of Haste effect. So that is just such a major detriment to the whole thing that I am just going to keep it at a +4 enchantment. It's still an excellent weapon, and you know, that's just going to be our decision. Being hasted and improved hasted and being able to move around quickly is way more important than this additional damage that the flail would be able to inflict.
You sure you not just want to dump everything out? Easier that way. Ooh! Ugh. What is bad smell? You been killing dragons?
Yeah, of course we've killed a Bazagol and obtained his blue dragon scales, so we are going to craft an armor out of that. And I'm going to unequip Animan's Flail of Ages for a moment here, just so that Sespinar doesn't bother us about it.
Sespinar! Ooh! Ooh! Shower curtain! Oh, it's only a cloak! Nasty pattern, that!
Yeah, so third Cloak of Protection +2, that's going to get upgraded. We have the scrolls, we have the money, so we are going to get ourselves a third copy of it, which is going to be pretty nice. Although, of course, at this moment in the game, we do have plenty of sources of improved haste.
Nope.
Of course, I did drop our golem summoning book. We need to rectify that mistake here. And yeah, let's talk some more, Sespinar.
Sespinar! Ooh, what got we here? A book? It's good bedtime readings, maybe? Oh, it's Tome of Golems. Yuck. Boring.
Yeah, so now we're going to be able to summon some Juggernaut golems, but it's not that scary, as he seems to believe. In some ways, the upgrade to the Juggernaut golem is actually worse, going up from the clay golem that we've had before, because the Juggernaut golem, we're going to read about it in a moment, but it loses on some useful things that the clay golem had. Alright, and now that we are re-equipped, let's take a look at our goodies. So that Juggernaut Golem manual, as it says here, the Golem actually serves kind of as a magical shield for the wizard, absorbing all melee damage inflicted on the caster for up to 5 blows, even if it's absorbed by Stoneskins, for example. So after these 5 attacks, he is just going to be dispelled, and of course that might be very detrimental to our plans in combat. Also, it's not going to be immune to all types of physical damage, as the clay golem was, with the exception of crushing damage, of course. That was the only type of damage that clay golems are susceptible to, but this golem only has 20 physical resistance to everything. It has some stuff going for it. It can do a lot of damage, twice attacks or 2 attacks per round. It can stun. It is pretty good, but you know, in some ways it is a downgrade. We're going to try to present it at some point. Of course, not that there's a lot of game left for us to to have many occasions for that. But anyway, now from a Bazagol, we've been able to fashion ourselves this full plate +2, essentially, when it comes to its armor class, and 90% electrical resistance. Nothing really spectacular at this point. And yeah, now it's going to be the time to tackle this challenge. And before we step in, I have already tinkered with our equipment a little bit, and I think we're going to allow Jaheira to basically take care of this one. Jaheira hasn't had that many moments to shine recently, so I have equipped her with the yellow dragon scale armor that we have obtained from the scales of Anadramatis, and this 50% piercing resistance is going to be very handy for Jaheira. She also has these boots of, or the gargoyle boots prepared for their immunity to backstab, and she is going to, well, she actually can equip them already. We don't need that additional speed from the boots of speed now that we are at the place. And yeah, let's just step forward, and we're going to talk about this challenge once we have some opponents to deal with. But first there's going to be a very notable conversation.
Greetings, offspring of my old foe. It's time we spoke, you and I.
So here is Cyric in the flesh, the god Cyric that we have heard about, and this is really a major event, as not only are we talking with a god directly, but Cyric is one of the most well-known deities from the Forgotten Realms, and one whose followers we've met on multiple occasions. Moloche and Bacillus from Baldur's Gate 1 probably being the most notable ones. In Baldur's Gate 2 we've had some more common guys here and there, like the cleric in the evil party in the North Forest, or that mad priest in the docks of Athkatla, but of course, most importantly, who could forget Tiax, the chosen ruler of all. But anyway, Cyric is one of the so-called greater powers, or greater deities, gods with a massive following of millions of worshippers. He's also known as the Mad God, the Prince of Lies, or the Dark Sun. He's a chaotic evil god of strife, lies, deception, and currently also murder. He also used to govern death before he lost the City of the Dead to the returning Kelemvor. But in general, when it comes to Cyric's portfolio, it changes quite often, because Cyric likes to kill other gods and claim their spheres of influence, but he also loses rulership over some of those domains over time. So in order to govern over deception, he killed the goddess Leira, known from our Baldur's Gate 1 conversation with Shaela, aka El Nadra, if you remember that quest about the Great Book of Unknowing. And later on, he's also one of the reasons for the cataclysmic event known as the Spell Plague, because Cyric, with the help of Shar, murders Mystra. But suffice to say, he's a major evil power in the realms, with a lot of influence over important events. And what's interesting about Cyric in the context of our adventure, though, is how important he is to the plot of Baldur's Gate, even though it's not explicitly stated. I think only Siege of Dragonspear has something about it. Of course, the focal point of the story is that the god of murder, Bhaal, died during the Time of Troubles. However, there's also the matter of how he died, and it was none other than Cyric who killed Bhaal with the sword Godsbane, which was actually the avatar of the god Mask, who disguised himself in the form of a weapon. And at the end of the Time of Troubles, the mortal Cyric ascended to godhood and claimed the portfolios of all of the members of the Dead Three, Bhaal, Bane, and Myrkul, although some of Bane's portfolio was given to his half-son Ayaktu Zvim, known from Icewind Dale 2, for example, and like I mentioned, he loses Myrkul's governance of death to Kelemvor a little bit later. So yeah, let's just go on with our conversation with Cyric.
But first, let's make sure we're not bothered by any of your so-called friends. This is a private matter. Now then, let's get trivial matters out of the way first. Do you know who I am?
And of course, the current god of murder. Yes, you would know, wouldn't you? I am indeed Cyric, god of murder, as well as strife, lies, and illusion, amongst other things we needn't get into. Most recently, I've recovered from a little bout of madness, not that that's important to you, only to find the seedlings of the former holder of my office everywhere, like weeds. And the insanity that Cyric speaks of here was because of his own doing. He created a magical tome called Cyric, and once anyone started to read it, they couldn't stop, and its magical power would convert the reader into a devout worshipper of Cyric, believing him to be a supreme power above all the other gods. And at one point, Cyric read the tome himself, became insane, and was only later cured of his madness by reading a different tome entitled The True Life of Cyric. But anyway, things are starting to resolve themselves, and there's only a bare few of the spawn left. Ball spawn like yourself. Very powerful, very resourceful mortals, like I once was. You can imagine my concern, How do I know you're Cyric? You sure don't look like a god.
As opposed to what? Some grisly avatar like the Slayer? A cloud of smoke? A massive face in the sky with a booming voice? I am only here to talk, to gauge your threat to me, if any.
I really like this conversation for many reasons. The voice actor's performance is one of them. If I were a threat to you, you wouldn't just kill me? Or why wouldn't you just kill me?
If only things were so easy as that. But if I get involved in the whole Bhaal spawn mess, then my own opponents amongst the gods would intervene. Mistra or Kelemvor, perhaps.
And those ones are indeed his most hated foes. And what's cool about this whole interaction is that when they were mortals, Cyric, Kelemvor, and the current incarnation of Mistra, which was the sorceress Midnight, were all companions in an adventuring or mercenary party called the Company of the Lynx. And there's actually the whole Avatar series of books detailing their adventures, and then later on also describing Cyric's godly endeavors, I guess.
And it seems that Ao, the Overfather, has an interest in this as well, which is very odd. He wishes this little climactic end for the Bhaal spawn to play itself out without interference from the rest of us. And so I, the great Cyric, am restricted to watching and observing. And yet, if there is anyone who should feel threatened by a child of the former Lord of Murder, it is me. There is just no justice anymore. I've been watching your progress for a while. Very impressive. I've formed a few conclusions, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth. How much should I fear you?
Well, let's answer in a pretty aggressive tone here. You should fear me like every other evil creature should.
I see. I would have expected you to say as much. Who could have expected that this level of the Abyss, this Throne of Bhaal, would give me such problems? If only I could have destroyed it to begin with.
Why didn't you just take it over then, when you became Lord of Murder?
I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I have my own plane in Pandemonium, thank you very much. Much better than anywhere in the Abyss. But obviously I should have paid more attention to this dismal place.
His own place is actually called the Supreme Throne.
But it's no matter. Can't undo what's already been done. And if you try, well, that leads to all sorts of different problems. And I'd rather not open that bag of worms once again. As for you, you might decide to seek my realm of influence. If you even get that far, that is. But it remains to be seen if you even have the power to attempt it. Never mind succeed. I think you need to be tested. That is what you created these little rooms for, isn't it? To test yourself? Mistra and Ao couldn't fault me for aiding you towards that end now, could they? Perhaps we will meet again. For now, let us see how you do against my favored. I suggest you prepare yourself.
So yeah, now we're going to have a moment to do some preparations before the fight against his favored. and we're not going to do much. Basically, Jaheira is as ready as she's ever going to be. What we can do is maybe... Well, we need to do one thing and make everyone invisible, because his favored actually don't see invisible. But before that, we might also maybe place one trap. Not the exploding trap, unfortunately, because this one doesn't bypass magic resistance, and they do have 50 magic resistance, so it wouldn't really be that helpful. But we might soften them up with just a normal trap, perhaps, and Senashira is going to reach into her scroll case and take out a mass invisibility scroll, and she is going to make everyone invisible, except, well, we can even move Jaheira outside of that effect. Alright, and basically I placed the trap here because I think the favored spawn kind of on the outer edge here, and once they attempt to attack Jaheira, they might bunch up a little bit, and perhaps this trap is going to be able to damage more than one of them. But yeah, when it comes to Jaheira's preparation and these favored of Cyric, they are basically level 25 assassins with 50 magic resistance. They can't see invisibility, of course, like I said. They have permanent improved haste, giving them 4 attacks per round. They have ×7 backstab, can use assassination, for example. And their weapons that they use are special. Those are short swords +3, so dealing piercing damage, which we have a high resistance against. Also, Jaheira still has her iron skins. They poison each strike, and of course Jaheira is innately immune to poison. They can also deal additional acid damage and make Jaheira blind, which would be a bit of a detriment to her physical stats. But generally, I think we can give her this Helm of the Rock for additional 25 acid resistance. She has 10 innate resistance, and now we're also going to cast an Armor of Faith on her. So that is going to bring her up to 60, and her piercing resistance is going to be 75. So she is going to be very well prepared for whatever they have to offer. And of course, when it comes to their backstabs, we have the gargoyle boots to make her immune. We also have this Enkidu's plate that we could use on someone, and of course, Kirinai has her thieves' hood. But let's allow Jaheira to do some stuff here. Yeah, they did use assassination. They did deal a little bit of that acid damage, but that's fine. Jaheira is going to be able to just deal with them, no problem. Let's actually increase her physical performance a little bit with some oil of speed. Yeah, they're not much of a fight at this point in the game. There is a component of the mod Rogue Rebalancing called the Chosen of Cyric, and that introduces an encounter in Chapter 6 of Shadows of Amn. Once you get back to Athkatla after the adventures in the Underdark, there's a party of 6 that kind of ambush you there, and they put up a much better fight. And it's, in general, a much more involved affair that involves a couple of outcomes through conversation or through battle that you can have with them. So if you're looking for an experience like that, when you want to deal a blow to Cyric's followers, I guess that would be the way to go. Jaheira is blinded, but yeah, that's not a big deal. She's receiving very little damage from them. Of course, poison weapon is also irrelevant when it comes to Jaheira's immunity to poison, and yeah, that's it. So now we gain some more experience, and we get the evil ballspawn power. Let's just rearrange our stuff. Okay, that is full. I'm going to have to rearrange it a little bit later. And yeah, now when it comes to our newly acquired ability, that is the Hand of Murder. That's the evil version. And I wanted to go for this because it is kind of interesting, and it's also just way more involved than the good reward, which would only involve us, Senashira, or only involve Senashira getting 5% more of magic resistance and a permanent immunity to negative energy, which is at this point, of course, completely irrelevant. We have so many tools to get that kind of effect. And yeah, that would be just a very boring kind of reward to get. But this Hand of Murder is actually very, very interesting. Since it's based on the character level of our protagonist, Senashira is going to qualify for this bracket here, with a 3-round duration, she is going to be able to, with each attack, each melee attack, deal 6 extra magic damage and heal for that amount. And what is kind of interesting with this ability is that it bypasses magic resistance, which already makes it pretty good, and also it acts like a level 6 spell, which means that it allows us to drain protections like spell turning, spell deflection, and the like very, very quickly with just a couple of hits. So we might maybe take advantage of that at some point. But yeah, just a more interactive, I guess, source of additional damage for just a brief period. And we also get some really nice potions of magic shielding from these guys. I don't mind if I do help myself to those. And yeah, also Jaheira leveled up off of that encounter in Druid, it seems. So level 19 Druid, not too significant. And I think now when it comes to her abilities, maybe Aura of Flaming Death. She has a lot of hardiness, she has a lot of critical strike, she has her smite. Maybe Greater Whirlwinds also would be somewhat beneficial to her whenever she kind of loses her haste or something. She only has the normal whirlwind, but let's just have some more spells at her disposal. Maybe we're going to take advantage of that. Of course, at this point, it doesn't really matter what we give her. We are pretty much fine when it comes to our selection of high-level abilities on Jaheira, and basically on any of our characters. And yeah, now our business for now is concluded in the pocket plane. We still have the Staff of the Ram to upgrade, but I think I'm going to hold off with that upgrade for a tiny bit longer. And yeah, for now, we're just going to go back to Ankatran, and we are going to present another conclusion for something that's been in the works for a very, very long time. And look at this boy just sleeping on the ground. We would be able to now safely rob them of their belongings. There's some gold usually on these tables, but let's not be mean like that. Where we're going is to the workshop of Cyric. And of course the kind of a quest that's been really long in the works is the one with the pantaloons. Now that we have finally assembled all 3 types of them, he's going to notice that and be ecstatic. Golden pantaloons, my, and silver pantaloons too. A complete set! Bronze pantalettes, gold, silver, and bronze. Merciful heavens! My lady, it is so rare to find 3 such extraordinary specimens. If you would allow me to work, I could put them through the Pantaloon Ergo Magical Transmogrifier right now. The Ergo what? Oh, never mind, just allow me to demonstrate. And this cutscene takes a little while, but yeah, now comes the big payoff for, you know, our efforts throughout the whole saga. The golden pantaloons from Baldur's Gate 1, the silver pantaloons from Shadows of Amn, and our recently acquired bronze pantalettes from Throne of Bhaal. Now we are going to be finally able to put them together into kind of an Easter egg joke type of thing, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. There, a fully functional set of power pantaloon battle armor, and everything appears to be in the green. Amazing, I did it. Enjoy your outfit, my good woman. Me? I've got to bring my notes to the university. Those gnomes will have to stop laughing at me now. And yeah, let's just go outside to give ourselves some more room to present the glorious visuals of our items here. So yeah, here we get the big metal unit. And I'm just going to scroll past its description slowly. It has its funny moments, and in general it is basically a reference to Francois Rabelais, if I pronounce this French writer's name correctly, and his pretty graphic works of literature about the 2 giants, Gargantua and his son Pantagruel. And it's also kind of a reference to perhaps a Warhammer Space Marine armor, or even it's going to look like a power armor from Fallout 2. Anyway, this armor anyone can use, provided that they have the 15 strength, any class, so mages can equip it. It grants us immunity to backstab, 5% magic resistance. Spellcasting and thieving abilities are disabled, but the armor class here is -10. So and this is basically like a, I think, plus plus 12 full plate with its total armor bonuses. And we are also going to have a weapon and 3 types of ammunition that comes with this armor. But let's first maybe equip this on Jaheira. Her armor class now is pretty good. It also stacks with items of protection. And just look at the size of that lad. An absolute unit. So of course we assume the look of an iron golem, or an adamantite golem perhaps. And yeah, Jaheira, you let yourself go a bit recently, huh? Those recent adventures of ours have not been too kind on you. But anyway, we also have this weapon, this big metal rod, which is essentially a crossbow with 5 attacks per round that anyone can use. So perhaps you thought that you wouldn't ever be able to see Senashira with a crossbow or ranged weapon of any sort in hand. But yeah, she is going to be able to use it. And also, we get these 3 types of unlimited ammunition, and this ammunition as well grants 5 attacks per round. So for example, we could use it on Imoen, because of course she uses her fire-tooth crossbow, and with those she would be able to achieve a really nice thaco and 5 attacks per round, because it's the attacks per round are connected to the ammo as well. And basically you have 3 types of them. Pulse ammunition, dealing magic damage. It's probably the least impressive of the ammo, and we can actually maybe demonstrate it on someone. Oh, let's look at it when it comes to Imoen. So we can fire that. We also have the frag grenades, which just deal AoE fire damage, and we can shoot that and yeah, deal some damage to to our party members. And finally, the most kind of relevant and the best ammo probably is this Scorcher ammunition, which kind of works like a Ganazar's Scorcher, and it can also, you know, it basically works with all of the mechanics of, again, as our Scorcher, dealing damage to anyone that's in the way of this beam. And yeah, with 5 attacks per round, even though the particular damage is not too impressive, it still triggers twice. And it's also a nice weapon, or a nice ammunition for an archer kit, because with some of these projectiles, like the Scorcher shot especially, you know, they trigger their effect twice. So if you use cold shot on an archer, for example, using like fire tooth with this ammunition, you would be able to proc that cold shot a lot. And of course, this is kind of a joke reward, of course, kind of an Easter egg, but I might show it off. Show off some of its capabilities here and there. But yeah, I think this is all going to commence in the next episode, where we're going to kind of get back into our groove and investigate how to get inside the monastery of Balthazar, and kind of look at our options when it comes to that, and also look at our options when it comes to Balthazar himself, because Ascension provides a different outcome that the conversation with him can provide, and we're going to explore all of these options next time. So for now, I thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, one more thing I forgot about. I also wanted to showcase all of the remaining banters that haven't triggered for us so far, because this is basically the last chance for us to experience them. I think we should have around 6 of them left. Some are better, some are worse, but I'd like to show them, especially since some of them involve Saravok. So I'm going to trigger those banters manually, and be right back with the first one.
I have been considering your words. I have changed my outlook, and I think perhaps it may be a good thing. I feel I must thank you.
So this is the final conversation with Saravok after his alignment changed to chaotic good. It was your choice, Saravok, not mine. We shall see if my new view on life is something that will prove lasting, but I cannot see a reason that it will not remain so. There is much in my former life that I must atone for, I think. Somehow, I think it will be a good goal to strive for, don't you? Yes, I do, Saravok. I'm in total agreement with you there. And this is just a really nice conclusion to the redemption story arc that Saravok has in Throne of Bhaal here. But of course, this was just the first banter. I'm going to be back whenever we get the next one.
A moment, Imoen, if you don't mind.
I suppose, Jaheira.
What is it you want?
So this is a conversation about the changing relationship between Jaheira and Imoen, with Imoen becoming more distant and aloof after she had learned about being a ballspawn herself. And also the ups and downs we've had with Jaheira's association with the Harpers, of course, did not help either. Senashira has suffered at the hands of many groups because of her lineage, and now that you share it, I don't mean to be a stranger, but people will see me differently now. I just know. Let them see you however they wish. What can you do but just be yourself? I know these are only words, but you will be fine. So yeah, Jaheira being pretty supportive with this one, and I'll see you when we get the next one.
I have a question for you, my friend. And it is something I wish you would treat with the sincerity in which it is meant. Do you believe that your ultimate destiny lies in godhood?
And this is the first out of 2 conversations with Sir Animan about our divine essence and our future plans regarding it. And of course, Animan has his own thoughts and doubts about it, which is, a very important notion that these conversations are going to explore, but unfortunately they are not very interactive. Basically, no matter what we respond with here, well, except the 4th response, which just cuts the conversation short altogether, but anything else we say, he is basically going to go on to his normal monologue that he always has. So, for example, if we say that we do not intend to pursue godhood, he is just going to weigh the different options, say that, of course, not even the Order can foresee what's going to happen, and is going to point out that even an evil ballspawn could bring some justice, and even a good aligned one, of course, has the destruction and death following in their wake. So, just some of his thoughts here, which is pretty cool, but I wish these conversations were a little bit more involved. But anyway, I'm going to see you once we get the next one.
A question of you, my friend. An idle one, perhaps, that has been playing across my mind as of late.
So yeah, the follow-up, also discussing the destruction of Saradush. This is of course an important topic tackled in quite a few conversations, especially if you're in a romance. Every loved one discusses the impact it had on them, and is actually the point where you can really influence Viconia to change her ways. But here I think we're going to respond in such a way as to not dislike Animan even more, because he can have some nasty responses in this one. So what are you implying, Animan? It seems at times as if your fate is this massive thing that plows the lives of all others before it. How does that make you feel? And we can respond, of course, that, perhaps fearful. It worries Senashira a lot that, those are the events that she is just innately connected to but can't really do much about, no matter how well-intentioned she is and how much she strives to do good. But yeah, nothing really comes out of it. And yeah, now I'm going to see you in the next one.
You have changed, Saravok. Your new outlook is apparent even to me. Only, I wonder if this is not some sort of act to cater to the hopes of our leader.
It is no act, cleric. It is also none of your business.
On the contrary, Senashira's safety is my duty, and I wonder at your motives. My motives may not be as blindingly apparent as your own, fool, but they are also not as superficial. Well, do astound me with your sheer depth then, Saravok. What is it you hope to gain by traveling with Senashira? Redemption. You must be joking. Redemption, among other things. Now begone. Were it not that Senashira calls you a friend, I would cut you down where you stand for your impudence. A little bit of a old Saravok shining through here. But yeah, a cool conversation, once again showing us Saravok's new resolve. Yeah, really cool.
So, you're part of that Order of the Radiant Heart, right, Anomen? The paladins and clerics that run around getting outraged at everything?
I find your description bordering on insult, girl. But yes, I am a member of the Order. Why?
And this is going to be the last one, and we'll be able to end on a bright note, showcasing Imoen's cheerful side this time, because this one's pretty funny. Well, a full 100 of them marched all solemn-like up to Candlekeep about 10 years ago, all to donate a single book to the monks. Did you know about that? No, but it sounds like something the Order might do, depending on the book. It was a big book, as I recall. I stole into the archive to look at it. Did you know it had all sorts of pictures of naked men and women? Total filth! I'm surprised the Order even had something like that. No doubt it was a book of great evil. Perhaps the Order gave it over to the care of your monks, so it would not be used by those of impure intentions. Well, I don't know about that. Winthrop caught me peeking and gave me hell like you wouldn't believe, but I noticed he kept the book in his room after that point. Vile girl. I'll not listen to any more of this. Go bother Senashira. So, a pretty good ending for the episode. Now, this is going to be the real end of it. So once again, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.